Hi, everybody. Gary Williams again, reaching out to friends and colleagues all over the world who are working in some way in the creative industries to see how we're all really coping with this terrible, unprecedented situation of the coronavirus and to see what it's done with our work and how we are coping. And the fella, looking quite happy despite everything, is my pal, Phil Barley. Hello, Phil. How you doing?
Hi, Gary. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. You, I know, you're in the UK and you're in a beautiful part of the world because a few years ago you escaped London, which in hindsight seems like a very wise thing to have done.
Yeah, right now, I'm very pleased to be surrounded by hills and green stuff and not lots of people. That's nice. And we actually moved out of London because we'd started the business and we weren't making, I wasn't acting anymore for a while. And we just couldn't afford our rent in our flat or our mortgage. We needed to go up a space. We just had a kid, and we were in a one bed flat up 3 flights of stairs, and we just desperately needed to go to the next size up. And we said let's have a look around, and everywhere in London was double the price. It was 500,000 or more to get a 2-bedroom place. It was ridiculous. And then a friend of mine had moved to Matlock a few years ago to climb. And yeah, we moved here because we looked in the estate agent's window, and for the same price as our 1-bed flat in London, we could buy a detached bungalow with views of the hills. So we said, let's go for that and give up our London life. Which, as I say, feels good now. I do miss London, but it's a nice place to be.
So you mentioned the business that was in its infancy then. Tell us about that. So people watching this that don't know who you are, what is your business?
So I started Theatre Digs Booker 10 years ago in June. We were just getting ready to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. And Theatre Digs Booker is basically a website that lists properties for theatre professionals to book. It's mainly focused directly at theatre professionals. And I've come up with the idea while I was on tour with Beauty and the Beast, and there were 60 of us on tour for 9 months.
60 in one touring production. It's a lot of people.
The crew and the band and everything. And we were given these. I toured before, but this is the first time I've really sort of been left alone to book my own stuff. I always managed to find someone who'd take it on for me. For some reason, I've been quite jammy like that. And I was given, the first day of rehearsal, I was given all of these digs lists. We're in a venue every week, and just this email with all of these attachments, all these digs lists, and they were all out of date, and you'd be phoning people and they'd be saying, I've had 40 people call me today for the same week. I've only got 1 room. Please talk to each other. All of these horrors.
Explain for people that don't know. So a theatre digs, it's sort of, it's not really a hotel or even a B&B. It's usually just somebody who lives close to the theatre that's got an extra room or 2 in their house, maybe somebody who's retired who's got a big old house, and they might just let a room or 2 to people working in the theatre down the road, and it's usually pretty cheap, isn't it?
That's it. That's the traditional way. So it used to be that the theatres would have a lovely connection with their community, and they would find hosts who could look after their visiting companies and make sure that they were well looked after and had a decent bed at least. They wouldn't be expected to do bed and breakfast or any food, but at least they'd have a nice place to they could cook their own food in their kitchen in most cases, and be sort of a bit of a home from home. Whilst being on tour for so long, you could be on tour for, say, for 9 months up to a year. You want these home comforts. Hotels night after night are just so soulless, and you just want to be able to cook your own cheese on toast at midnight or something like that. So that was the tradition, and but it was horrible, and it was just been left to go out of date. In most cases, theatres don't have the facilities and ability to keep those lists up to date. So we turn up to one place and there were 8 digs on the list for a company of 60. So the whole crew that week ended up sleeping in tents in a field. They bought tents because it was cheaper than trying to find hotels and that kind of thing. It's all they could afford. And I thought, there's something wrong here. This is a system that's definitely broken.
Yeah, I mean, when people are spending, 60 quid a ticket to watch this Disney extravaganza, they don't really think that the crew and maybe some of the cast members are sleeping in tents they've bought for that week. That's crazy, isn't it?
It really is crazy, and it's so integral to the well-being of a touring person. I know you're very good at looking after yourself when you're performing. You go to bed early and you don't go out drinking after the show and all of those kind of things. You do look after yourself, from everything I've known about you. And that is because that in order to do 8 shows a week for 9 months, that's a marathon. You're going to have to be at your peak and stay at your peak for a long period of time. Quite often as well, your day off is your travel day, so you'd be getting from one end of the country to the other to get to your next venue, especially if you're in the crew.
Give us an idea for something. So, I mean, how many bookings have you done over the years? What sort of milestones have you reached? Just give us an idea of the size of your operation.
Well, we just passed the 500,000 successful nights mark. So it's 1,250, something like that, years worth of successful bookings. And we were looking after pretty much every tour that's going out in the UK at the moment. We had issued a tour code and giving their companies the ability to manage their tour bookings, their accommodation bookings, on our platform. So we were really getting there. But also just
for a business which completely relies on touring shows, I mean,
yeah.
Your business must have just disappeared overnight.
Yeah, so at 5 to 5 on the 16th of March, the Prime Minister came on the telly and said, don't go to pubs, clubs and theatres, and he actually name-checked theatres. And at that point, every theatre, every tour closed instantly. Every theatre closed, every tour went home. All of those companies were jobless. And that's crew and cast and musicians and everybody, involved, plus all of the theatres went dark. And our income went to zero at the same time that everybody wanted a refund. It was just, unbelievable. And within a few days, I was sitting in the office with a couple of members of staff who still came in on the last day the office was open. Everybody else was on a meetup online, and I had to let everybody go. I had to lay everybody off. And then later that night, they said that they're introducing the furlough scheme. So at least I was able to say, well, there's a good possibility that the government will be able to keep some money coming towards you for the next few months. But my world went completely upside down at the same time as that.
Nowhere, right? I mean, out of nowhere. You didn't see it coming. Nobody did.
Nobody saw it coming, no. And I kind of take solace in the fact that, we're only a small operation. I'm by no means a businessman at heart. I'm a performer at heart, and I've just sort of fallen into this position. But I've learned this trade over the last 10 years of running a business, and it's been a fascinating journey. But there are big companies out there who miss this completely, and who have, and airlines and big Debenhams and all of these kind of massive companies. Even I heard Virgin Atlantic are asking for money from the Treasury. So I take some solace in that it is unprecedented, and I don't know.
I've been talking to a lot of artists, like the job that you used to do, performers, and of course we've lost all of our work. But in most cases, it's just us on our own, thinking, okay, when are we going to earn any money again, and have we got enough saved up to pay the bills? That sort of happened to you personally, but from your business point of view, with the staff that you've had to let go as well, we tend to think of the big companies, let's say Booking.com or Virgin Atlantic, and they just seem like these big entities. Of course, there's lots of people involved whose lives have been very badly affected, but it's interesting talking to you because you're a small business owner, just employing a few people. You've been building up this business for years. It's a great business. It's a successful business that's, doing great things. And suddenly the rug has been pulled from under your feet. I mean, it's sort of doubly devastating, isn't it?
Yeah, I wept the night that I had to lay everybody off. That was really hard. the first person, this is the horrible irony, the first person I had to call was all the freelancers who weren't PAYE employees. The first thing I had to do was get rid of all their consultants and everything. And one of them is my cousin. He was the first person I called, bless him. And he's had it. He was actually sick with coronavirus at the time. And he was the first person I had to call to let go. So he's had a real run of it. Luckily, he only did it about a couple of hours a day, and he's a postman the rest of the time. So there's only an ancillary income for him. But yeah, that was a very hard thing to go through. But I'm hoping, and I've got to say, whilst it sounds horrendous, I'm very lucky in that I've got an office at home. I've also got a 3 and a 5-year-old daughters at home with us, and my wife is doing her best to stay sane, keeping them entertained. Without all of the normal things like going to friends' houses or soft play or the swimming pool or the park or anything, all those options are taken away. So you've just got to entertain in the 4 walls. So every parent out there is having their own certain journey through all of this. And I'm just trying to hole up in my office, keep the doors shut, and get as much done as I can in the day. I've got no help. I've had to furlough everybody to make sure they get as much money as they can from the government, but that means that they're not allowed to lift a finger of work. They can't do anything.
The government, are you getting any support as a business from the government in the sort of package that they offered?
I'm eligible, I think, for a £10,000 grant, which I've applied for and I haven't seen yet. We're still waiting for that. The government are trying to push banks to lend, and I'm putting an application together at the moment. And I called HSBC actually 2 weeks ago, and they said we'll call you back in 2 days, and I've not heard a thing. So the government is saying, they're going to fast track it all and make it all possible. So you got the cash. We've got no cash and nobody here, and of course we've got still all of the emails are coming in from people saying, "Can you move this booking? Can we edit this? Can I have a refund on that? All of that stuff is trying to go on." But the good thing is that there is still some hope. So people like We Will Rock You and those kind of people, the big tours, they have announced that they are rescheduling. Some are starting from September, some are starting from January, and they're really sort of throwing everything at coming back.
And I think
so that's given.
There's different schools of thought for this, but I mean, of course, people are going to be struggling for money and so on, but at the same time, people are just going to be dying for entertainment. If there was ever a time when what we do was important, it is when we come out of this, isn't it? Because people being cooped up for so long, people need entertaining. They want a little bit of escapism. And I really think that once people feel comfortable to get out and start doing things again, the theatre and the arts and entertainment is going to be one of those industries that feels a very strong and very quick bounce back.
Certainly hope so, yeah. As long as they don't apply too many distancing measures and that kind of thing, so that we can all get into an environment, into an auditorium and that kind of thing, then yes, people are desperate to be, to get out there. And I think that would be a great message. It would be, start booking now for, January or whatever shows are open. Start booking now to give that that hope back to the industry.
Not only that, it's interesting. I had a booking myself. I was booked for a concert which is going to happen in January next year. And it's funny because, I'm sitting here now, I don't know how long it's going to be until I earn money. And in fact, I don't know if it's going to be September, October, November, December, whatever. But having that somebody now, since this has started, having somebody give me a firm booking for a concert next January actually has meant so much to me, because of course we know it's going to be over. We know it's, things will get back to normal at some point, but just the fact that somebody out there, an orchestra, a concert hall, are actively, they're not just sort of in disaster mode thinking, oh my God, how are we going to get through this? They're thinking beyond this. And that was such an optimistic thing to happen for me. And I think for anybody that, because things are on sale for the autumn and onwards. And I think what a nice thing to do for everybody. If there's something out there that you fancy seeing, book a ticket for a show now. to give yourself something to look forward to. And look, if the worst comes to the worst, it'll be cancelled and you'll get your money back. But hopefully that won't happen. There's a lot of people with a lot of money and a lot of sense, a lot more than us two, that are convinced it's going to get back to normal in the autumn, at the latest early next year. And I think not only will it make you feel good because you've booked a ticket, but also it'll give such a boost to the people that are putting the shows on, and all of the technicians, the performers, the musicians that are in those shows. It will send a really good message to everybody in the industry, won't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's what everybody needs now, is a real boost of confidence. And if you are, can book a ticket to a show or a concert or anything like that, keep the arts alive. Book them now, book them in the future, and fingers crossed everything will bounce back.
Yeah, fantastic. Phil, so good to talk to you. Thank you for taking the time. I shall let you get back to your children. You're not allowed just to hide in your office all day.
Yes, I'll go out at 5 to 5.
Good to see you, Phil. All the best.
Thanks very much. All the best. Take care.